So in this video, we're gonna go over the history of the Upper East Side. Now, I do have to say, this neighborhood has gotten quite the reputation over the years, and it's pretty much known for being a very, very prestigious neighborhood in Manhattan. In this video, we're gonna learn more about where that came from. Was it always that way? And if not, how did it get that way over time? This neighborhood is definitely known for its high society residents that live here in this neighborhood. Have you ever wondered, like, why is that? Like, what happens in a neighborhood for that to become the norm? So with the Upper East Side, there's two things that happened in this neighborhood for it to get to become this. It's because of apartments that were being built up in the neighborhood and also retailers that were coming into the neighborhood. So both of these combined made it a place that high society residents wanted to move to. So if you think about it, uptown Manhattan is pretty much known for being a residential area. To this day, there's not a lot of people that work uptown, whether it's on the Upper West Side, the Upper East Side, or even above that. Now, there are exceptions to the rules, of course, but Manhattan was kind of always like this. People were working in Midtown or downtown, and people were living uptown. So when a lot was being built here, you had these big A players in Manhattan, the Carnegies, the Vanderbilts, that were living and building up this area of New York City. But I do have to say, the Upper East Side started off as farmland, just like so many other areas in New York City, which is kind of funny to think about. In the 1800s, the farmland here started to be divided, and that's when some development started to take place really in the neighborhood. So right around 1837, there started to be some big changes happening right around the 86th Street train station, and this is Yorkville. And if you know the Upper East Side well, this is the Yorkville neighborhood of the Upper East Side, and it is still Yorkville to this day. So this was really the start of that neighborhood really transforming. And then it wasn't until the late 1800s where some of these very prestigious, iconic buildings started to be built in the Upper East Side. So the Gilded Age actually started to take place in the 1900s, and this really affected this area. So there was a lot of mansions being built that were facing Central Park, because if you think about the Upper East Side and you look at it on the map, there is a big portion of the Upper East Side that is, to this day, outlining some of Central Park. So something that was very, very historic that happened in 1916 was that the first apartment building was built replacing one of the Central Park mansions on Fifth Avenue. And this building actually still exists in this neighborhood to this day. So this building is the 907 Fifth Avenue Co-op. So it's kind of crazy to think about it, that it wasn't until 1916 that apartments kind of started to become the norm right around Central Park and in this neighborhood. And honestly, so much of the Upper East Side is a historic district to this day. You have the Metropolitan Museum Historic District, you have the Park Avenue Historic District, you also have the Carnegie Hill Historic District as well. So there's a lot of history in this neighborhood. To create this video, I really had to compile a lot of different information online. And I might also create some other videos kind of breaking down some of these big players like Carnegie and Vanderbilt that were really kind of shaping the neighborhood at this time. I do kind of want to save that for a separate video because it's going to take a lot of time for me to really go over all of that in one video. So the Upper East Side did start off as farmland, just like pretty much most other Manhattan neighborhoods, but it really did start to become prestigious, I would say, pretty early on. Now, if you look at the history of when Manhattan was first discovered, the whole island of Manhattan was purchased in 1626. And yes, I said 1626. So if you think about when the Upper East Side started to become the Upper East Side that we know today, that didn't happen until the late 1800s, if not early 1900s. It's not like this neighborhood has been prestigious for centuries and centuries. It's kind of crazy to think about when you think about when Manhattan was actually purchased. So you had other neighborhoods that were being built up way before the Upper East Side was. So I hope you guys enjoyed some of this history of the Upper East Side. Now, if you guys ever have any questions about anything that I'm covering in the videos, or if you guys have any ideas for other videos that I can create, please leave them in the comments of this channel, because as always, I just love hearing from you guys.